Adventure Ho Illumineers, and welcome back to another episode of the DuckTale Dads podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mack, joined again by Ryan and Konnor. Tonight we do not have Nathaniel. Nathaniel is still in the thick of soccer tryouts and soccer retreats and all the team building that soccer does prior to the school year here in Minnesota. He'll likely join us within the next couple weeks, but yeah, he's kind of in the thick of the tryout season and just before the school year starts, where he, again, will be inevitably in all the practices and games. So he will join when he can, but I know he misses us dearly and misses the pod dearly. So Nathaniel will hold down the fort for you. This week, we're planning to, first and foremost, wrap up the anniversary event. We are just a day or two post-anniversary event. Had a lot of fun, a lot of shout-outs to be had, and a lot of wrap-up and kind of updates to talk about on how everyone did here, the three of us. There was some CCQ results that we want to go through, some new interesting decks for our listeners to pay attention to as we're now approaching set champ season. But also, in addition to that, NA Championships is this upcoming weekend, and we have a lot of people from our area going, and this is just a very exciting time to wrap up Season 2. But before we do any of that, let's do What's New in Your World. Let's start with Ryan. Ryan, what's new in your world, sir?
Personal update. We went to see one of the greatest comedy shows I think I've ever been to. It was hilarious. We went to see John Mulaney live near us this weekend. It was incredible. I would highly recommend, if you're ever able to and you're a fan of stand-up comedy and John Mulaney's work in general, definitely go check it out. His set is amazing. My wife and I were both crying from laughter at multiple points throughout his set. He just drilled home and hammered on some really funny points, and it was just very relatable, and he's high energy, and it's great. It was fantastic. So I loved that. On the Lorcana front, obviously the anniversary event happened. That was a blast to see all the friendly faces, new and old, in the same room together, competing and playing card games. And it was fun to go out there and shuffle up cards and play them against my opponents. I got to face off against a couple of people. So I got to face off against Vo, which was a fun 3-game set, and face off against Nathaniel Rosado, which is a fun 3-game set, and face off with a handful of other people as well. Met a new acquaintance. Perry was a new acquaintance that I faced as well, and then played against a couple of previous opponents as well throughout the event. So it was a blast to hang out, see everybody, play Lorcana for the day. As always, it's always a good time to hang out and play Lorcana and see y'all. See Konnor really get into his broadcasting chops, which was really cool to see. Hopefully I made his job easy. Hopefully I didn't make his job hard when I was on stream for one game or one match. Maybe I did. I did my best to try to flash some glances at the camera of my hands, but so be it. It's hard to know what you can and cannot see on the camera when you're just sitting there, and I didn't want to show my opponent the card, so I didn't really know how to make that work. But anyways, it was a blast. Highly recommend anybody that's in the area to come check out the next year's anniversary event that I'm hopeful will happen. And otherwise, just hanging out for the weekend. Konnor, what's new in your world?
Yeah, we had a ton of fun. My personal and Lorcana news kind of blends together. But before I jump into that, yes, I want to comment on the broadcasting. So much fun. It fulfilled a very long-winded goal of mine to be I want to go stream. I want to go be talking to people. It might not be a ton of people, but I want to talk to people, and I want to be able to commentate on different games and talk about my perspective and my opinions and your game on stream. It's so funny. I've seen you play so many times, and I've played against you so many times that I could see the way you were viewing the board, and I was trying to commentate on it in an eloquent way of oh yeah, he must be doing this, because I knew exactly the route that you were going for, and it's just, it felt a little like I had some insider knowledge, but it was very fun. The one thing that was a little bit squirrely was that the first game that was on stream, it was Hannah versus Tyler Novak. and we did not realize that I think we were using Vo's iPad, and we didn't realize that the volume on the iPad was not turned off, and so the stream that like our commentating was playing out loud, and we were commenting on the game live while it was happening, and they could hear us. And luckily, we only made like one or two comments that was about their hand. It's like, oh, looks like Hannah just drew into a Hades, and it's just like, oh man, that feels bad. Now that the other opponent, Tyler's just like, yeah, now I am very aware that they have a 7-cost Hades. So it was a little awkward, but they eventually flashed us the sign of like, hey, can we just turn this off? And they muted us, and it went back to normal. But it was a great time. I thoroughly enjoyed the broadcasting. I was there streaming with Jeebus, who is very just... It's like honey pouring out of his mouth. So natural. It is just so smooth. He was a great commentator, and he really backpacked me the whole time because I fumbled with my words. I get excited, and I talk way too fast. And then Jeebus comes in naturally with just like the most out-of-pocket comment that makes exact sense in the moment and is very deep thought. It was perfect. And so props to Jeebus. That was incredible. So much fun. But my personal and Lorcana update, I did what I thought was the impossible. I got my wife at a Lorcana event. Now, granted, she did not play, but on 2 separate occasions, on Saturday and Sunday, she stopped by. I got to show her off to all my friends and show off all my friends to my wife and say, oh, this guy kicks my butt all the time. And then this guy kicks my butt sometimes. And then this guy, it's like I just felt like a kid in the candy store. I was just like, this is so fun. Like all my worlds are colliding. And so I had a great time introducing my wife to everybody. I really wish I would have been able to convince her to do the pre-release event, which is what I did on Sunday. I went 2-1. It was great. Nothing too crazy out of the packs, but enough synergies to compete at a decent level, and overall had a blast. But yeah, it was again so personal. I mean, I did a little bit of a date night with my wife on Saturday night in between the 2 days, and went to a couple different cafes, little Mediterranean restaurants, and so yeah, I really could not complain at all. Our kids were with Grandma and Grandpa, and we got to see them a little bit on Sunday and a little bit before the event started on Saturday. So yeah, overall, I had a grand old time, and I think my highlight was I won the raffle for the Love in Lorcana t-shirt. I was stoked, so happy, and I was just over the moon. So Jenna, Ron, shout out to you guys. So nice to see you in person again. And very happy to have received that t-shirt. So again, had a great time, but there's so much we could dive into. Let's toss it back to Mack. Let's see what we got here on the docket.
Yeah, so what's new in my world? Konnor, first things first, though, you mentioned the kind of the feedback loop from round 1 with Tyler and Hannah. I was talking to Hannah after the match, and she was saying at one point, like, her hand was really bad that you could see, and her board state was not great. And then there was a comment made by, like, I don't know, one of you two saying, yeah, she's in a really poor spot right now. And then Hannah said, I heard that, and it hurt, but it was kind of funny at the same time. So yeah, that was hilarious, and I'm glad they resolved that quickly. And I mean, Hannah and Tyler are both kind of professionals, and they know how to play, and they know the meaning of like the event, to like a celebration event rather than kind of going crazy and hardcore. So they had a laugh with it. It was pretty funny. But yeah, that's the memory I have with that first round whoopsie, let's say. Other than Lorcana over the weekend, I did fairly well. We'll get through that over the kind of a more greater anniversary event roundup. I will say the primary what's new in my world news for Lorcana is one of my entry packs had an enchanted card. So I pulled the enchanted Ruby Malin Lee. That was really cool. I think both of you thought I was pulling your leg. I was opening the packs, and I was like, guys, I think something shiny's here. And one of you I distinctly remember saying, just like, you were lying. No, you didn't. I was like, I think it's shiny. And then I ultimately finished opening that pack, and it was an Enchanted. So I think it was my first one in like the last 12 months. So it was very exciting to be a part of an Enchanted pull. Other than that, non-Lorcana related, after the festivities and the event for the anniversary weekend, I went right to our playoffs for our Bar League volleyball. So we did that. We took second place. We lost in the finals, but we earned our gift certificates to the restaurant, and that's all we really cared about and play for. So my wife and I had a good time, had two very tired boys at the end of the night because we had no grandparent support because all of our grandparents were on a vacation together. So we just had to bring them to the league, and they didn't get to bed till 9:30. So it was kind of a sketchy ending to our day, but they both slept in quite late, which was nice. So yeah, lots of going on with this weekend. Shout out to my wife, who was the one that was on childcare duties, that allowing me to go out and play over the weekend. I'm sure both of you are grateful as well to both your spouses, as well as, I know, Konnor, your kids were at the grandparents as well. So thank you to all of those that helped on that front while we got the opportunity to go play in this grandiose anniversary tournament. But let's get a little bit more into it. Before we get into the details of what happened, I do want to say AJ, the tournament organizer, someone we had on the pod a couple weeks ago, for those of you who don't remember, who planned literally everything on this. His mind towards the end of Sunday was already thinking about next year and things to improve on. And the first thing that he did was put out a kind of a feedback survey for those who attended. So I think it's posted on the Minnesota Facebook. It's also posted on the Minnesota Discord. The links to the survey for that. So if you are able, please go to that. And it's like a 2-3 minute survey, pretty quick, kind of what you liked, what you didn't like, what do you want to see changed, how can we improve, kind of scenarios. So that will be very helpful for us moving into next year, as we really want, by we, I mean AJ really wants to continue this, and by we, us DuckTale Dads will continue to support this event as much as we can with that. So please go provide your feedback. It's anonymous. So share your thoughts nice and clearly, and we will take that feedback into consideration and make improvements on next year. But I think overall it went really, really well. Let's talk Saturday first, because all three of us were on Saturday, and I'm going to toss it back to Konnor first on, I want to know your mood throughout broadcasting, because what I remember from last year is I was sweating and shaking a little bit right the first 5 minutes that I started. And thankfully Jeebus is a professional, because he kind of helped me ease into it. And then it got really, really fun for me. And I think I was a part of the stream last year for 3 or 4 matches. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I remember being quite nervous at first, and thank goodness the camera really isn't on you at all, maybe 5% of the time when it cuts back to you after a round. But yeah, Konnor, what was your range or roller coaster of emotions as you processed through the day? Because you did seem very comfortable at rounds 5 and beyond. You were just hey, yes, I'm a pro now. But what were the first couple like?
Yes, I was, as you could expect, excited but very nervous. I didn't want to say something wrong or misquote something, or I'm saying oh, look at this Aladdin Genie Jag team. It's a 4-4 quest for one. It's wait, oh no, oh my god, that's wrong. And I have to correct myself. And I wanted to prove that I had the knowledge and the wherewithal to be on the streaming platform. There's a couple different times where we had to look up card effects and different nuances. I think there might have been one. I think it was actually your game, Mack, where you tried to trigger a Cood that was in the bag for a Lenny. However, because you played a Cood first and then sang Circle of Life to bring back Prince Philip, that is technically the next player that is played, or the next character that is played, and eats up that. It's not a static ability, but it essentially eats up that ability of the next character is two less than two, and so it was a very interesting conversation to be able to like discuss some of the new stuff like that. But overall, what I was really happy with is that there was a lot of variety. It wasn't just like Blurple Mirror after Blurple Mirror. It was like multiple different types of decks, different styles, it was fun. It was really fun. And so, like you mentioned, by like round 3, 4, 5, I was feeling great. I was a little bit more comfortable. Jeebus was, again, super kind and was very welcoming during that time. And so it was very easy to work alongside him. That being said, my brain was like, yeah, this is incredible. This is fantastic. My body was like, hey, you've been hunched over for 5 hours and you haven't eaten anything. And the last thing you had with water in it was your coffee. And so we're going to shut down. And so at the end of the day, my body was just like, I had a sore back, I had a headache, and I was like, the only thing I ate was just some Burger King, and it was like, I inhaled it within like 5 minutes just in between rounds, and it's just, overall, I might need to prepare a little bit more, maybe some trail mix and some water, and be there for the long haul. But man, it's kind of grueling to be able to be sitting there, be on like focus and watching every move and analyzing each hand, and it's a lot. And so, mad props to the streamers out there who are commentating, and mad props to the people who can do it for hours on end, because man, my cardiovascular fitness for streaming is lacking. But it was so much fun. Again, the competitive side of me definitely wanted to be out there playing, but the social, analytical butterfly, I was very much at peace. So it was a lot of fun.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up my whoopsie on stream. Thank you very much. I did fully intend to use Lenny with the Akud trigger, but my mind was so excited to play Circle of Life that I just immediately went to that and then went to just grab Lenny and be like, and this cost 1. But at that time, I was playing Zach from Team Arcana. And for those of you who don't know, the board state was like incredibly in my favor at that point. There was a 99% chance I was going to win the game, and I did win the game next turn. But Zach he actually explained that to me, and I actually, to show the stream, we fist bumped to be like, okay, we both acknowledge, like, we talked through it, and then he just scooped because he was like, yeah, there's no way I win this still. Even if you made the mistake in real life in a real tournament, like, I still lose this game. So, yeah, that was totally unintentional. I was just so excited to pull off a Circle of Life combo and forgot to play the Lenny first, is essentially how it went. Yeah, it was fun playing on stream too. Both Zach and I agreed to like fan our cards, so you guys, hopefully you could see what was in our hands. So like we were trying to hold it high enough where we both couldn't see it, but we both knew like if someone was going to hold up their cards to like show the camera, the other one was kind of just looking down off camera to not look at it. But that was kind of our goal, was to fan the cards. And then when we were showing the cards, especially the deck I was running, a Circle of Life, there's a lot of discarding. So I always tried to like show the card that I was discarding, because sometimes on streams the glare can get quite bad. So I just tried to give every possible angle for the viewers to ensure that they knew what was happening with that. But yeah, this playing on stream was actually really fun. I did not really feel nervous at that point, and that was like round 4 or 5 already. So we were very much settled into the tournament. But yeah, and it was nice to play with someone that I knew and someone who's just fun to play against, and Zach. So we had a good time on stream that whole time. Ryan, how did you feel on stream? Because you also played on stream too.
Yeah, I didn't really notice it, to be honest with you. A little bit of like, at the beginning, I suppose, of just, hey, this is like on stream. But at the same time, I was like, okay, well, I think I was very fortunate to play against somebody that I have a good time playing against and playing with. Just Nathaniel, such like a warm, welcoming human that he made me feel very at home and very comfortable. And so it was very easy because we had played before. We had shuffled it many times, or a couple of times previously, and just he's a nice dude, and it's fun to play against him. And we always laugh and joke during the games, without trying to get information from each other, and without revealing information to each other. I tried my best to try to fan cards to show the camera, but my brain couldn't process that, so I just kind of gave up on that after a little while. And just figured, I'll just play the game and let it go. And a little bit, but otherwise it was just like, we're just playing. The camera's here, and we're just playing. So it was a good time. It was an interesting matchup. My goal was to not play any mirrors, and so I brought something that wasn't one of the like major main meta decks. So I was playing like a Blurple list that was a little bit tweaked and much more fair than previous iterations of Blurple have been. But still had some very, very powerful high ceiling things that it could do to really kind of swing the board and lock out the games and finish the games that way. And then playing into Nathaniel's Amber Amethyst list was a really grindy purple matchup pretty much, and it took the entirety of the time. We went to turns. I probably could have saved some time by scooping in game 2 a little bit sooner than I did, but it was always like, maybe I can come back if he top decks like 2 Willows and that's it for the next 2 turns. But that's such a small, infinitesimally small opportunity that I probably should have scooped and saved 5 minutes. But so it goes. I ended up conceding at the end of it, so I ended up officially 3-2, and he moved on to as 4-1 from that round. But yeah, it was a blast. It was a blast being on stream. I was grateful that I had the opportunity to like get at least one under the belt. And try to start stacking that experience meter a little bit to get more used to it if it ever happens again in the future, so it doesn't faze me really at all. But it definitely a little bit at the beginning, but then very quickly settled in because of the person I was playing against. So thank you, Nathaniel, for making it such a warm, welcoming experience, and for a great match.
I had no idea that you guys were aware and were like fanning your cards. I was like, wow, this is a really good view. This is really convenient. Like, this is so fun. Like, this, I can see exactly everyone's cards, everyone's hand. Like, and meanwhile, you guys are like, oh yeah, let's just make this job easy for him. You know, he's probably struggling. Let's just take it easy. So, props. That's so helpful. So helpful because it helped us predict what you were doing and you know, to see if like a certain decision was working out. So that was perfect. Thank you for doing that. But yeah, Mack, you kind of said like, oh yeah, you know, a couple games here and there, you know, played Zach, everything was all right, you know. You didn't really share how things ended.
Yeah, I alluded to it a little bit, but I did really well on Saturday. I played, like I said, Circle of Life, so Amber Emerald, which is ironic because after DLC Milwaukee, I said I would never play Emerald again, and here I was trying out another Emerald deck. It was a lot of fun. It's a play style that I wanted to try out because it's something that I've just never really done in terms of like having a large song package. In essence, I was not a Steel Song player before the first rotation. Steel Song is still kind of in existence now. But the only song that I was really ever familiar with is How Far I'll Go when Ruby Sapphire is really good. And then when I played Sapphire Steel, the new He Hurled His Thunderbolt and Let It Go were popular. I guess I should say Let It Go was something I'm familiar with because when I played the DKP version of Ruby Sapphire, that was one that was kind of, you could have 2 ofs in there. It could be, you know, it could make its presence known in a list like that. So, but in terms of like a heavy song package, that was something I wasn't used to, and relying on songs in order to take board control to then eventually win the game. So, I'm glad I tried it, and I ended up taking second place. The match that I lost on stream against Zach, granted it was round 4, that ultimately was the deciding match of the tournament. ironically, on how it was laid out, because Zach went 8-0 and I 8-0, 7-0, and it was 7-0, and I ended up 6-1 in second place, just behind him. So I guess it's kind of, not only did I do well and get second, but I obviously lost to the champion. So, and that match against Zach went to 3 games, and was, at least the third game was really competitive. For those of you who caught it on stream, games 1 and 2 lasted 15 minutes because both people on the play just steamrolled the other person. Then the last game, we almost made it to time. That's how long it was. It was like a 30-minute game, and we were going back and forth, and ultimately I just couldn't find my final Prince Philip combo. I ended up in my hand with a Circle of Life, Prince Philip, and Malicious, Mean, and Scary in my hand. But I didn't have, and I had enough singers on the board, but I didn't have the Philip, a second Philip in the discard. So ultimately I needed a way to get Philip in the discard to sing Circle of Life, because I didn't have enough ink to play him outright. So if I would have been able to pull that one off, things could have been different. The other thing that really hurt that game against Zach, and he would say it too, my MVP of the deck was the Gaten Moliere, the 4-cost inkable 2/5 evasive. Whenever you quest, you draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. Not only is it a fantastic Milo trigger, but it is like my somewhat pseudo draw engine to get kind of the Circle of Life combo cards that I need to ultimately win the game. He had first, I had played that on, like, because I sang Akuid, I think that I played that on turn 3, or maybe even turn 2. Had it out early, and then the next turn Zach supported that and then played Gaston, so that one was instantly off the board. And then I had a second one in my hand, so I played the next one the next turn, thinking there's no way you can get rid of this. And then Zach top decked a Horseman Strikes, which evasive, banished that. And after, when we were talking, Zach was like, yeah, that Horseman Strikes was the turning point in the game, definitely. Otherwise, things could have gone differently. I would have had more time to filter through my deck and inevitably get that Prince Philip in the discard later in the game. So it was really fun. I had a blast. The deck worked really well. I obviously, because it turned out well, and it was fun. It was so weird to draw from your discard. That's the one, kind of like, if you like interacting with your discard or finding different ways to draw other than just playing a purple card that says draw card, that was a really cool way to interact with the deck, because essentially you're playing Circle of Life to essentially draw from your discard and play them for free. That's the way I viewed it, and it worked really well. And I took that all the way to ultimately a second place almost trophy. But I had a lot of fun. And who knows, maybe I'm a song player in real life, and that's what I'm going to do for the foreseeable future. Thank you, Konnor, for lending me probably, 8 cards. And then thank you, Jenna and Ron, for lending me about, 30 cards, because I only had like 25 cards on my own in my own collection. So I messaged both of you guys like probably 3 days before saying, hey, I want to run this deck. Can I borrow some cards? And they're like, sure, no problem. We're not planning to use these cards anyways. So thank you so much for all you guys. I'll give you guys some of the credit for allowing me to play this deck in the first place. So I appreciate the assist, and ultimately it was a really fun time to play something different, something I'm not used to, and have some success with it.
Anytime, Mac. Number 2 on the board, number 1 in our hearts.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I do want to mention, Mac, that one of your favorite cards ever printed pre-rotation was a song card, and you failed to mention the name of this song card. It is a 7-cost uninkable Ruby song, Be Prepared. So
Yeah,
you
true.
have played with songs before. You have depended on songs to win you games before. And that would be that card for a, what was it, 5-2, 6-1 finish at the Infinity event as well in Milwaukee. So shout out to the song card of all song cards. Be prepared.
Isn't it embarrassing that after we were gushing over the promo card that was announced last week in last week's episode and how excited I was about Be Prepared, just a week later I forget about it? Wow. That's embarrassing. I feel
nothing like
that.
a 7-cost Hades singing "Be Prepared" and then just refilling the entire board. That it was just so demoralizing every time. Just like, oh yeah, that's fine. Just clear everything out. I'm going to start over. Like,
I'll just say I wasn't relying. Half my deck wasn't songs. I'll just say it that way. Other than that, I did. I was about to say I wasn't relying on my songs, but that would have also been a lie because Be Prepared is ultimately what brought people back into games. So, but Konnor, you and I were able to play on Sunday as well. Anything noteworthy in your pre-release situation from that Sunday event?
Yes and no. There wasn't anything crazy. I think I got an epic, Mother Gothel epic, which is actually quite a beautiful card. I didn't use her, but it was still pretty to pull some shiny plastic or shiny cardboard. But really, my game plan was turn 2 morph, turn 3 either Aladdin Genie and like filter, or turn 3 Lilo and Stitch shift combo. I had Red Moon Ritual, but that was like my only removal. So like I was able to do a couple of those things where it's just like kind of sneaky, like that they definitely did not see that coming, and that's what kind of helped out. But overall, nothing too crazy, but enough gas to get me. I think I finished like 11th or 12th. I think out of like the 38 people or 39 people. So like I felt pretty decent. And so knowing that like there's a handful that went 3-0, and so just close enough, but not too bad.
Yeah, my success didn't stop on Saturday. I had such a good pre-release sealed deck. Ultimately, I went 2-0. I matched up against Hannah in our final round. She had signed up for the upcoming draft event, the Chaos Draft, and we just agreed to split the packs. So we both got 4 packs as opposed to 5 and 3. But we both looked at each other's decks, and both of our decks were really, really, really good. But yeah, I pulled everything from the 4, 5, 6, 7 slot. Everything that you would have ever wanted, I had it. I had 2 tag team Lilo and Stitches. I had a tag team Aladdin and Genie. I had a tag team Maleficent and Diablo. I had the giant worm thing. I keep forgetting it. It's Cetus. Is that the name? I don't know. But I had all of the...
Tink and Pan.
Yeah, I had that one, too. Speaking of forgetting Be Prepared, I had Peter Pan and Tinkerbell, which ultimately is the best card in Attack of the Vine Sealed. Once people saw that card get played down, they were like, all right, I think I give up. And then I had all the important 3-drops that we have kind of talked about in our sealed success or sealed experience for Attack of the Vine. I had 2 Sullys, 2 Bears, and 2 Omnidroids from the 3-cost slot, which is just insane. So, my sealed deck was incredible. As soon as I saw those cards, I kind of just laughed at myself, thinking, like, there's no way I'm losing. Like, this is just too good right now. And my deck was really, really good with the first 5 packs. And then I was just like, let's just see what I can fill in the gaps. And my foil for my final pack was the foil Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. That was my very last card that I saw. So that just kind of just put the cherry on top of everything that I needed for that sealed event. So yeah, it went really well for me on Sunday as well. I had a great time this weekend, as I did last year. But being able to play in the main event and then play in the sealed Attack of the Vine with as popular as Attack of the Vine is and as cool as these pre-release bundles are, we had so much. But I mean, like, AJ was able to accumulate so much through Game Center. that they were able to make this pre-release work, and people showed up for it. Like nearly 40 people did. So it was a really good event, and it outshined the main event on Sunday. With the main event on Sunday was Infinity. So people came for the Sealed on Sunday, and times were to be had, and good times to be had for the pre-release kit. So I thought that was really, really cool and really fun. A fun way to end the event for sure. Any other last minute thoughts before I allow us to run through some shout outs? I'll let you go first, Konnor.
It just came to me. This is not planned, but something that I thought I'm definitely going to write the feedback to AJ anonymously, even though I'm going to be talking about it right now. I feel like it would be really cool to have like a beginner division, something where maybe not necessarily like youth division because the young families just go to like clean house. But I think maybe like a, hey, you haven't played for more than 6 months kind of deal, where it's like you're like obviously if you've played for a while, people will know you, or if you have like a fresh Ravensburger Play Hub account. Because I feel like that'd be so nice to say like, oh, you don't have a deck? Come play with one of our pre-constructed decks donated by the community, and like just have like 12 or so different decks built out where you can come play or learn how to play, or because I feel like that would get more people to come out and play. Because like my wife, for example, just was like, there's gonna be a lot of people who know what they're doing. It's gonna be really competitive. I don't want to like ask questions. It's like, nah, we need. I feel like a more welcoming like entry level of like, yeah, we have some chaos and seal and draft and stuff that's fun. Doesn't really matter too much at all. But the people who don't know really how to play, or the people who are just starting out, I feel like it'd be so much more welcoming to have other people to play with and learn with, where they can just say, oh, Judge Cole, please teach us like what should we have done here. And so I think that's definitely going to be something I send back to AJ. But otherwise, yeah, let's get into some shout outs and move on to some interesting deck lists.
Okay, I'll go first. First and foremost, I'm going to do two, knock two out of the way. AJ, you're really good at this. Long story short, you're kind of the star of the community. You're the diamond in the rough, right? Like, you are so good at what you do here. Thank you so much for, all you do in putting not only this event together, but just what you do on a yearly basis, setting up the Discord, Facebook, being involved with the website. Like, you are so good at what you do, and being able to provide, I think, the prize support, knowing how hard it was to gather product for this event as opposed to last year when there was just so much to be had. AJ, you're amazing, and can't wait to be involved in this in the future. We will assist you in any way we can, because you deserve it, and you deserve all the help you can get when you need it when it comes to this community. So thank you so much for being the glue of the community. And then thank you to the host, Game Center. You have such an incredible space. I think the way that you operated the event, and logistically, it just made sense. You had like a payment table, the main payment at the front desk, and then you would have to walk around and go get checked in with the judges, that being AJ and Cole. It just felt more like we had been there before with the experiences from last year. So Game Center and the space is incredible. Like, it can hold like 250 to 300 people. So it didn't feel like we were just always, rubbing elbows against our opponent or people sitting next to us. People had plenty of space to just chat in between rounds. Good kind of refreshment options for those that wanted to be there. So yeah, thank you, Game Center. It's such a good location, and we have qualified for some certain important tournaments in the near future. I don't know if someone else wants to announce that, but someone take it away, what this event was able to qualify Minnesota for.
So what Mack is alluding to, I'll take the reins from here, was that this event, with the number of participants that we had, allows us to submit an application to potentially host a CCQ at this location in the future. So fingers crossed that application goes through smoothly and that we get approved in the Minnesota Lorcana community to host one of those events. I think that'd be really cool to have one come locally as Game Center in Roseville, which would be stunning to have it something that potentially qualifies you for a national level event on the local scale. So that's really cool that happened. I want to share a shout out to Cole. You briefly mentioned previously on the podcast, but Cole for just running a smooth event every time that he was needed to step up and step in. Commanding presence in the room at large. Communicates very clearly. So shout out to Cole. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being head judge for the event, and thank you for providing the welcoming, stable atmosphere that is necessary to run a smooth event, and for making things just work on the weekend. So shout out to Cole. Mack, you did it earlier, but I'll shout it out again. Shout out to our spouses for carrying much of the load at home, and any grandparents that were involved in the process of caring for the children, while we are away with the opportunity to play in Lorcana for the day, for the weekend. Very grateful to have the opportunity to have supporting spouses for this hobby. Grateful for grandparents that are willing to step up and step in as well to help care for the kids, so the spouses don't feel overwhelmed at any point or feel slighted by us stepping away to go play in these events. Just all grateful all around for the support of the community at large in my personal life. So thank you, everybody. Konnor, what do you got?
I mean, you guys have hit it all, hit the nail on the head with the people who have supported us, the people who've put together the events. I think in general, there isn't much to be left desired after the anniversary event, in my opinion. It was great. It was fun. It brought a lot of people together. And it was just, it's just an accumulation of community that has been fostered for the last 3 years, and I think it's fantastic. So I echo Mack in saying that I am very much looking forward to future events and being able to be a part of it as much as we can and try and grow this community to be even bigger, so that when we do have these CCQs, we can rock out and max capacity Game Center, and who knows, maybe Mack will go 12-0 and between 2 days and go to nationals, and we'll have our next Scott Marcus in here.
Yeah, right. You give me too much credit. It was just one weekend. We'll see how it goes the next weekend. I just remembered one more for just overall community, and I know that's kind of be a little lame. Everyone says that, but what was interesting about this event is that due to the limit of product availability, a lot of the prizes were donated for the prize wall. So Konnor, you won the raffle for the Love in Lorcana t-shirt. I won a raffle on day 2, I won a raffle for one of those yellow discard cards, which I thought was pretty cool. There were additional raffles. I know Hannah and Becky did some artwork drawings and alternate cards that were a part of the prize wall. So a lot of the prizing this year, as opposed to something like last year where we just had full product available, it was donated by the community. And I think that added a little bit more of a personal touch this year, it felt like, because people were excited to see what items that were won that they had maybe provided to the event. So I thought that was really cool. And it was still a fair amount of product that was given out too, in terms of a raffle perspective. So that was really cool to see the community come together from that idea as well. And I know, Konnor, you have one more. You were giving some hand signals on this last one.
Yes, I'm trying to spell out VO, V-O. He donated the D23 for the main event on Saturday. And it was so great. I think he was competing for it in the end, but ultimately he's I'm not going to win my own donated prize. And so it was really humbling. But at the same time, Vo is just very generous. And he's been always willing to lend a hand and say, hey, who wants these singles? And he brings all of his stuff and he helps out. And so shout out to Vo there for sending or donating that D23 box, because that was really cool and obviously incredibly generous. And so, yes, I was trying to mime VO as many times as I possibly could, but obviously failed.
Yeah, thanks for that shout out. It's important to recognize that as well, because that was like the grand prize along with the golden hey. I will not forget, we made the prediction a couple weeks ago on which team Arcana member would be passing out the most packs due to losing to individuals. It was in fact Christian. Christian, you are not out of it. We are going to mention it. Sorry, buddy, that you had to give out the most packs, which means you lost the most. But I know he took it really well. He was kind of just like, I want to give away my packs. I want people to take them and see if they can open an enchanted. But I just thought it was funny that our prediction came true in the sense that Christian lost the most. So another fun time there. But we've talked a lot about this anniversary event. It was a great time. Can't wait for it next year at the 4th year anniversary event. A year from now. But let's get into some CCQ results, because while we were having fun from a celebration side of things, there were some pros that were actually trying to get ready for, an important continental weekend this upcoming weekend. And there were some very interesting CCQ results in terms of a new deck has seemed to pop up the ranks in terms of how strong it could really be, and that's Amethyst Emerald, specifically with the retro device. Ryan, you posted a lot of the links in our kind of notes here, but why don't you give a synopsis on what you saw from maybe the top 8 between the CCQ that happened, and there was also another pretty big tournament that also happened that wasn't formally a CCQ, but it was another strong event as well.
Yeah, so Amethyst Emerald took the weekend by storm, it seems. 3 of the top 4 spots between the two, and there was between the two events. So one was a 78-person event that was not a CCQ, and then there was an 128-player CCQ that happened over the weekend as well. For the CCQ, the finals was an Amethyst Emerald Mirror, and the 78-person event, it was Amethyst Emerald versus Amber Emerald Princess Aggro in the final. But this retroactive device list is more of a control list that actually plays 0 one-drop characters or one-cost cards at all. So it's just ink and pass on turn 1, and then from there you play catch-up and figure out a way to claw the game back. It's trying to get retroactive device online, which is an item, a 3-cost inkable item that exerts and pay an ink and banish a chosen character of yours, and you can play a character with cost up to 2 more than the banished character for free. So your goal is to create value on play, enter the board effects or on play effects with your 2 and 3 drop characters. Which is like Todd, Clever Fox. So you're drawing a card and discarding card to filter through your deck. You're playing Elsa, Exploring the Unknown, to just simply draw a card on play as a 3-cost character. And then you're playing Lyle, Tiberius Rourke, which is a way to claw back lore. So you could just draw a card, discard a card. If you've discarded 2 cards in this turn, then your opponent loses a lore. So using those effects to maintain the game state, maintain your hand size, filter through your deck to find your strong cards, your top end. And then playing Retro Evolution Device to stack your cards on top of each other effectively. So maybe you even shift an Aladdin and Genie, the Mischievous Pals, which allows you to discard any number of cards from your hand or to the bottom of your deck, and then draw that many cards plus 1 from the top of your deck. So at very minimum, it's replacing itself by letting you draw 1 card. And if you have a bunch of cards you don't want for the matchup in your hand, then you can discard those cards and draw new cards that might be more beneficial for your matchup from there. And then using the Retro Evolution Device to gain a lot of tempo by being able to upgrade your Aladdin and Genie, which is a 5-cost character, into a 7-cost Milo Thatch, and you're bouncing something back from your opponent's field. You already have 2 cards in the discard because you banished your character. You shifted Aladdin and Genie, which is those 2 cards, now to your discard. So then Milo Thatch's second ability triggers, and you can draw a card at the end of your turn since you put those 2 cards there. Even if you don't trigger the discard effect from Milo's first effect, that you can put something back in someone else's hand if you discard a card. You're also then trying to upgrade into Prince Philip eventually. So at some point, getting a Singer, then with maybe Milo Thatch sings Malicious, Mean, and Scary, and then you Retro Evolution Device Milo to turn it into a Prince Philip to board wipe and then have board control that way. Really, it's just trying to find a way to control by discounting your cards from your big cards from your hand, using the Retro Evolution device and banishing one of your own characters in order to upgrade that card. It's a really interesting list. It plays a very tempo-oriented game, and it just harvests a lot of value out of understated characters on the low end of the scale to get to these really high-statted, difficult to deal with, high-questing characters on the top end of the curve. Using the consistency of the Amethyst ink color, so using Junior Woodchuck Guidebook to draw extra cards, using Hades looking for a deal to draw extra cards or banish something off the board, using Demona to draw extra cards, and then just harvesting value by upgrading those into larger characters that then can control the board with the Milo Thatch and the Prince Philip, and the John Silver for that matter. But it's really an interesting list, and it did very well this weekend, navigating two very large tournaments, large local tournaments, to great success, claiming 3 of the top 4 spots between those two events, which is really incredible to see, kind of the splash or the flash in the pan of the weekend being Amethyst Emerald. And I'm very curious to see how much of a splash it makes at the North American Championships coming up this weekend as well, especially in the LCQ pods, when people have seen, oh, this deck just went like 8-0-1 or 7-0-2 and won a couple of events. Maybe I should probably either plan to play against it or just play it myself and see how I can handle it, or how I can pilot it through the LCQ pods. What do y'all think about this new list, and where do you think it kind of fits in the metagame? Is it the just perfect time for it? Is it going to be overtaken by something else? What does it create an opportunity for as well?
Yeah, and I'm going to use this opportunity now that you've described this list, because that was really the main thing from the CCQs, was this Amethyst Emerald list with the retro device. And how do we tie that into Nationals, which is next weekend, and how this changes things potentially? So let's kind of merge this together into what we think is going to happen. I probably 4 or 5 days ago, I saw, maybe it was on stream, that it was starting to become popular about a week prior to this past weekend. And that's where I saw its first success. And I thought, these are the type of lists that do really well in big tournaments, especially when piloted by very, very, very strong players. And at that time, I was like, okay, let's see what happens. But I think this is going to be the list that wins NA Champs. And so now that we have this extra data with the success over the last weekend with CCQ, if you like playing control-y decks that make you think a lot, especially after about turn 4, where everything that you play needs to be played in perfect sequence and not play a Circle of Life after you sing a Kud in order to play Lenny, for example. That's what this Amethyst Emerald list does, is it causes you to think. And if you like to play control, this is the deck for you. And I am here to say that's my prediction. This is the deck that's going to win NA Champs, knowing that all the players there are very, very, very good. And North America is known to be control-y and loves to just kind of outthink each other rather than turning sideways to gain lore, for example. So yeah, I can see this having very good success over this next weekend. And it's a fun list to watch too, I think, on stream. Having someone activate the retro device, especially if you're not familiar with it, and just have someone banish something to slap down a free Milo or slap down a free Prince Philip, I think it's going to be a good opportunity from the viewer's standpoint to watch a deck like this rather than an aggressive style, for example, like Amber Emerald. Not to say that that isn't fun. It's just we've been used to those type of decks, I think, for a while on streams especially. And I don't know, this Amethyst Emerald is just something new that I'm excited to watch this next weekend.
Yes, I would have to agree that the control is definitely the whole point of this list. And it's interesting. I'm always wanting to see a different deck list do well, right? I'm always wanting the variety, the different styles, the different gameplay. And over the weekend at the anniversary event, I saw someone who was very, very talented. I don't want to say anything because there was rumors that they were thinking about running this deck list at like a bigger tournament as well. So I was just like, no, I won't say it. However, they explicitly said, I can't really run this because it loses to Milo. That was it. Milo, one card. And so I think the winner is definitely going to be something with Emerald, because whether it's the Circle of Life deck that Mack ran, or the Emerald Amethyst deck that we just saw win this event, Milo Thatch is so good. So good. Ward, 5/5, quest for 3, bounce, and draw? Like, that's silly. There's not much you can do when your major player gets bounced back to your hand, then you replay it, and they're like, oh, I have 2. And you're like, bang, bang. And then they're questing for 6 and potentially drawing 2? It's like, okay, unless I had complete control or a board wipe, I'm cooked. I'm toast. And the only other Emerald deck list out there that I think is going to be able to combat it is, of course, like the Pseudo Dogs, the new Princess Emerald Amber deck list that just spews characters out. Because I was just playing online. I've seen deck where it's like on the play. They are on the play. I'm not draw. Where they'll have like 6 characters out with 2 ink by turn 2 or 3. It's like that. The math isn't mathing. Like how am I missing this? Like what is going on? And all of a sudden they'll have like 3 Mike Wazowskis and then drop a Dale and then just like clear my board and then quest for 1 million, and then all of a sudden they have 2 Eleanors who not only ping a damage, they draw a card, and they gain lore. It's like, oh, I could do the math. Okay, they'll quest up to 18. I should be fine. Wrong. Just putting 2 Eleanors on the board gets them 2 more lore. It's just silly. So either it's going to be just like the stupid fast decks that beat Emerald, or the control decks, or it's going to be anything that includes Milo Thatch, in my opinion, because that is such a good card. Such a good card.
It really is interesting to see this Milo Thatch kind of warp the meta around it, because every single list that considers itself controllers other than Amber Ruby includes Milo Thatch pretty much, so Emerald is definitely a big player in the meta. But then I honestly think that this deck, Amethyst Emerald taking off, also opens the door for Amber Ruby boosties to become to come to the forefront of the meta again, because it started off, it won one of the first weekends with Humble winning one of the CCQs, I believe, and now it's been kind of dormant, getting run over by all these aggro lists that have been out there, the Emerald Steel aggro list, the Amber Emerald aggro list, just everything aggro that is out there. But now this Amethyst Emerald deck, I think, does a good enough job of filling in some gaps that Amber Amethyst wasn't able to really achieve, and that Ruby Amethyst was kind of doing as well. But this is a little bit bigger of a mid-range control deck, and then so the meta slows down a little bit because this deck is slowing it down, and then Amber Ruby comes in saying, "Oh, you think you have removal? Let me show you unconditional removal. I'll play my Red Alerts. I'll play my Gastons. I'll play my Raging Storms. I'll play my Giant Scrooges to swallow your guys, and we'll see how it goes from there, because I'm going to be the bigger control deck, and you're not going to be able to go fast enough to get underneath me when you play a Milo and I have a Raging Storm, or you play a Prince Philip and I just play a Horseman Strikes to knock it out and draw a card and then refill my board after that." So it'll be interesting, because this Amethyst Emerald deck does have one rush character, the Terran Magically Armed, that can deal with Scrooge's Counting House. But if that Terran has already been played, or Terran is not available, then Scrooge's Counting House can kind of go crazy against this type of Amethyst Emerald deck that is slightly bigger in the mid-range. So far, it's the biggest, ugliest mid-range deck, the biggest, ugliest mid-range control deck out there, and we'll see where the meta goes. But I think Amber Ruby might have a really good shot if this takes up a large portion of the meta share, and large enough portion to kind of keep the other aggro lists kind of at bay, is what I'm thinking. So Mack says Amethyst Emerald. I think I'll throw my hat in the ring and put my support behind Amber Ruby for potentially winning the NA championships.
I'm just going to say Milo Thatch wins. That's about it. It's a little vague. But it's so funny. So I love this aspect of the TCG, or even just in general. It's like, okay, I know they're going to play low to the ground, so I'm going to play mid-range. But then the other person's like, okay, I know they think that I'm going to play low to the ground, so they're going to play mid-range, so I'm going to play long-term control. But then there's other people like, okay, they're thinking this, and it's like you're trying to counter everyone else's play. And ultimately, it's just so fun to watch it all unfold. It's like, okay, who's going to predict correctly? Is it going to be the people who are running Amber Ruby? Or is everyone going to think, oh, everyone else is going to run Emerald Amethyst, so we're all going to run, I'm going to run the one that controls it all. But then everyone runs Amber Ruby, and then the Princess deck just wins the whole thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds this weekend. But I just love that strategy, like the what's behind door number 1, 2, and 3. But if one is taken away, like, do you change your answer? Like, it's just so many different things about like what deck list do you run, which always brings up the classic, oh, I changed what I'm playing at 3 a.m. the night before, and then you get smashed. So I think, again, play what you're comfortable with, play what you have reps with, and play what play what you know. And so if that's the case, I'll just be digging my Clarabelles out of the discard and sneaking them in. Hopefully no one remembers that they have been rotated. So we'll go from there.
Yeah, this is going to be a hard one to predict because I think the meta is so wide too. We have some Team Arcana from the local side going to participate in the LCQ pods the night before. And a lot of the feedback that I had heard over this past weekend was there's so much variety in the sense that you can't tech for anything. So in their eyes, you're just kind of just throwing a blind dart and just hoping that your matchup works in your favor. So I think though, and I'm gonna say cautiously happy that the Amber Emerald Princess deck might be figured out with these all their mid-range control decks, and I just don't want to see that deck win personally. I'm bored of it. However, my last final prediction in terms of ink colors, I know for a fact that Sapphire will not win. That is my 100% guarantee. Sapphire will not be the winner of the NA Champs, for those of you who are wondering, because it's not really an ink color anymore. But yeah, I think there's a wide range that it just really depends on who you play. And hopefully you win a die roll sometimes too, right? You just got to hope those little things, those little pieces of luck go in your favor, because in a TCG too, you can have all the skill in the world, but sometimes you just need to get lucky, not only with your die rolls, but who you play and your opponents. So that's just sometimes how it rolls. But those are the kind of like how we think who's going to win perspective. But we also have, I mentioned some locals going. Let's start with the LCQ. Do we have any predictions for our own Minnesota members on how we think they're going to do? And then we can get into ultimately how we think that Minnesotans are going to do in the actual big tournament, because we know for sure 2 are participating in Scott Markinson and Tyler Novak. So let's start with the LCQ first. How do you think we're going to do?
My prediction is that we'll have at least 2 players from Minnesota qualify through the LCQ pods. I know it's a grueling gauntlet to get there, and only 16 players are going to be able to qualify through the LCQ pods. But my boldest of predictions, I suppose, is that at least 2 of those spots will be filled by members of our Minnesota Lorcana community, and I'm excited to follow along with all the excitement as they embark on their runs through the LCQ pods starting this weekend.
I think that we're going to see one Minnesotan, and they are also going to then get top 8 after. Yeah, I'm going bold. I think Scott and Tyler's going to do well. They're not going to say that they're going to do poorly, but I think the one Minnesotan who gets through the LCQ gauntlet is going to then go on and get top 8.
Well, that's real big, because I know in between the LCQ and the actual NA Champs, there technically 2 separate tournaments. So you can change decks, is my understanding. So you don't have to run the same deck that got you through the LCQ. So you might have to kind of think about, okay, the LCQ gauntlet, I'm predicting this is going to be the main meta share, so this deck is going to work well against this. But then if you get into the main tournament, right, that's a whole nother list of players, and you'll have to kind of play that game again the night before, after your mind is already fried, to then think about what deck will work in that player pool. I'm hoping for one. There's one individual, I'm not going to name their name, just due to, what is it called? I'm missing it. Like player confidentiality. I don't know. Integrity.
Nathaniel.
Player integrity. Yeah, right. It's Nathaniel. It's not Nathaniel. He's not going. There's one player that I think is going to do really well in the LCQ gauntlet, and I hope they can win the grueling task of winning 6 games in a row. Because that's how you win. That's how you pass. You need to win 6 games in a row. If you lose 1, you're out. What if you lose early and you get out? Do the side events, because I hear they're going to be incredible. So, but yeah, there's one person that I think will do really, really well. They've had some recent success, but just any Minnesota player, we definitely have the talent. We got a lot of strong players going. So let's just hope for one, and good luck to you individuals who are going to the LCQ, are going to participate as part of the LCQ pods. But then to take it one step further with Scott and Tyler, the way that Scott plays, and I didn't watch Tyler very much in Milwaukee because we were trying to grind the tickets to get a playmat. I think the way we talked about Amethyst Emerald and the way that I think this meta is going to play out in that tournament, I think this shakes up really well for Scott. I'm really excited for him. I think this is the type of decks that he likes to run and typically find success in. So I'm hoping and thinking that he will play very, very well in this field. Tyler, I also have a deck in mind for him that I think he's going to play. And knowing his play style and the very minimal that I know, I think he has a chance to really surprise some people as well. These are the 2 best players in our community, and we know that. Like, they've been in the top 2 for probably a year. Yes, it's not you, Konnor. I am sorry to say that. But these 2 have been the top 2 for, at the very least, a year. Scott's been the best player in this community as long as we can remember. And they got a chance, and I'm very excited to see where they end up, and I hope they can make it to Worlds, because we know that at least one of them can, and let's hope it's both this time.
Yeah, I think Konnor mentioned one of the Minnesota players, specifically the one that makes it out of the LCQ pods, is going to make top 8. I'll take that one step further and maybe hedge a little bit. They're saying that at least one player from Minnesota is going to make top 4 at NA Championships. So I think that'll be really cool to follow if it does come true. And I'll just be sitting here looking silly if it doesn't. But I'm confident in the player base here and the players that I've played with and played against and seen at adjacent tables playing. And just I'm always impressed and always driven to make myself a little bit better every time that I get to sit down and play in paper as well, just so I can at least try to keep up and catch up, maybe. Well, that's kind of the lofty goal, I suppose. But it's always fun to watch them play and to observe the decision-making processes that are happening, observe the lines that they decide to take, and just see how things work out for them when they are playing the colors that they like to play. So I'm excited to follow along a little bit, jealous that I'm not going to go participate, because it's always fun to participate, but it's always a blast to follow along as well. We'll have plenty of fun this weekend with the State Fair opening up anyways here in Minnesota, so there will be fun to be had at home. Don't anyone feel bad for us for not being able to attend the LCQ or the NA Championships themselves, but always something to aspire to, I suppose, and trying to make those tournaments in the future. But it'll be fun to watch and fun to tune in and follow results as well as the day unfolds, as the weekend unfolds. I
will like to say and clarify any of my comments, because for player integrity and competitive integrity. I have no idea what any of our players in Minnesota are running. Just want to make that statement known. And I didn't want to know in our conversations over the weekend for those of us, or for those that we know are traveling. I did mention this is a good meta that shakes up for Scott. I didn't talk to Scott once this weekend, so I have no idea if he thinks this meta is good. So I just want to make that clear. I have no idea what he's playing. I just am just basing that off the fact that he ran Ruby Sapphire last NA Champs. So it could be out of I could be completely wrong, but I just want to make that known that I have no idea what these players are playing. So for competitive integrity for those that are traveling. So don't try and get some insider knowledge here because we do not have it. Konnor, any last thoughts?
Yes. I, Konnor, under threat of penalty of perjury, solemnly swear I know nothing. I am way out of the loop, and I am very much someone to go for the far-fetched. So if someone says, "Oh, did you hear that?" Konnor, he's like, just out in one ear, out the other, please.
Yeah. So good luck to all those participating this upcoming weekend. We'll be rooting for you. We'll be following you, and hope you find success over this next weekend, so that we have another Minnesota represented at the World Championship. But from there, I'm going to close up this show. We've talked a lot about the anniversary event, CCQ results, where the meta is headed leading into the NA Championships. It's a good time. It's a good era of Lorcana, in my opinion. And I am so excited to see, as we're transitioning towards the end of Season 2, how that wraps up. And then we move into Season 3, not too far after. But from there, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We have the audio version as well on YouTube. We have the video version on YouTube as well, if you care to see our faces. They're not that great to look at, but who knows? Maybe you're one of those individuals. But you can check us out on Instagram as well. We post from there time to time. You can see the leaderboard that was posted from yours truly. I just had to throw that one out there. That was the recent post. But from now until next time, gentlemen, let's get the duck out of here.